We aren't going to be playing at MetLife Stadium or Hard Rock or SoFi or Gillette Stadium. What the hell's going on? Dímelo, mi gente. This is Travel Football Fan. I'm helping fans save money and travel the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Okay, so I'm kind of half lying to you. We are going to be playing at those stadiums, but during the 2026 World Cup, they're not going to be known as those stadiums. They're going to be known as Miami Stadium, New York Stadium, etc., because FIFA doesn't like recognizing the sponsorship deals that these stadiums do have. La política entre ellos. Having said that, though, okay, I want to show you where these stadiums are located in relation to their host city, because as you're going to see, some of these stadiums aren't even near where we're supposedly going to travel to. All right, so let's go ahead and start in Miami, where I am from. And I want to show you where Hard Rock Stadium is in relation to the rest of the South Florida region. So, Miami over here, the downtown region is down over this way. And as you can see, Hard Rock Stadium is in a place called Miami Gardens. Now, in terms of public transportation, there is practically none existent going towards the stadium. The closest Metro Rail station is somewhere up here by Opaloca. Actually over here, actually closer this way, which will be the MOK or North Side Metro Rail stations. Okay, so that means you probably would anticipate some sort of public transportation bus going up this way. There really isn't a lot of hotels in this part of the city either. Your closest hotels are probably going to be closer towards Aventura and the Sunny Isles Beach area, which is kind of expensive. Another area will be out here towards Miami Lakes, Hialeah, so pretty much further south. And here is Miami Beach, by the way, for those of y'all that are really interested in wanting to go and spend your time at the beaches during the World Cup. Well, be mindful that traffic in and out of this place does get heavy a lot of times. And so you want to give yourself plenty of time to get to the stadium if you're staying over here, because again, there's a lot of choke points here. And the last thing, of course, that we want you to be dealing with is being late to the stadium just because you were stuck in traffic. Alternatively, I would suggest you stay probably in Broward County. There's a lot of hotels in this part of the South Florida region as well. Plenty of beaches over here, of course, towards the east. Or if you really have to, stay up by Palm Beach County as well. It is further away from the stadium, but again, it gives you more hotel options, and that way you can go ahead and enjoy both the beaches, which I know that's what a lot of people go to South Florida for, but then be able to drive down to the stadium. All right, next up, Atlanta. Let's check out Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it is right in downtown Atlanta. Plenty of hotels right near it, so do expect quite the availability for rooms there. But of course, they're probably going to be more expensive too, because they're going to be much closer to the stadium. Now, in order to get there, my best advice would just be to fly into Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport and take the metro. Yes, there is a direct line connecting you straight into the heart of the city of Atlanta itself. In the few times that I've been there for work, granted, it has been a few years since I've been to downtown Atlanta, but I found getting on the train and going straight into the downtown region very easy and simple to do. Folks from Atlanta and basically from all the cities, please go into the comments and drop in your recommendations for hotels, other things to do. We'll get more into that a little bit later. But basically, Mercedes-Benz Stadium is right in the heart of Atlanta. Pretty easy to get to. One of the most easy accessible stadiums to get to in these. If I had to rank them, it'd probably be Atlanta, and then later on we'll check out Lumen Field in Seattle. All right, for Philadelphia, we are going to be playing at Lincoln Financial Field, pretty much relatively at the heart of the city itself. It is relatively close to Philadelphia International Airport, so that's going to help you out in terms of flying into the city, getting into the city. Of course, as with all of these cities, do expect to pay a premium price if you're going to want to stay at a hotel in the downtown area or near to the stadium of these World Cup host cities. That's just going to be a general rule of thumb. And so, of course, if you're looking for cheaper hotel options, maybe consider staying out here on the outsides of Philadelphia. So on the New Jersey side of the Delaware River, probably heading down towards Chester or maybe towards the Valley Forge area. Over here, it's going to be further away, but it looks like there's plans to integrate some of these other outside regions to connect you to the city of Philadelphia itself. And of course, it's already been announced that the watch parties for the city of Philadelphia are going to happen here at East Fairmount Park as well, if that is, of course, of interest to you. But again, Lincoln Financial Field in the heart of the city of Philadelphia. All right, so MetLife Stadium, not in the heart of New York City. New York City is over here. And if I had to point out the 5 boroughs for you, Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island down here. So that means that MetLife is in the state of New Jersey, and specifically in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I hope I'm getting these pronunciations right here at this point. So in terms of hotels, yes, the hotels are technically going to be cheaper in the New Jersey area near the stadium, just because it is in New Jersey versus New York, where the overwhelming majority of fans are going to want to stay because, of course, it's New York City, the tourism opportunities, and so on. Of course, do expect these prices to be higher, though, okay? Because as you can see here, there are hotels rather close to the stadium. Yeah, don't expect these to be at a nice, cheap price of $119, okay? They're going to be much, much more expensive, all right? Alternatively, you could go ahead and stay in Newark, Elizabeth, New Jersey, kind of going further down. If you're noticing the potential connection here between, Newark and Philadelphia, which is all the way down here, you could try to find a hotel, say, around here near Princeton or Trenton, and then that way you could kind of connect yourself up and down the Amtrak, or if you're driving between these two locations, and that way you can go ahead and, hopefully find a cheaper accommodations in between these two host cities. But again, MetLife Stadium, not in New York City. It's in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And so you do want to plan accordingly as to where you're going to stay and how you're going to get there. One final note, they are building a busway, I believe is what they're calling it. I might be getting the name wrong, which will connect the Newark train station, okay, over here, okay, New York Penn Station. They're going to connect this straight into the stadium. So that way you don't have to do these multiple train changes as well. So they are looking to facilitate and improve the connectivity of the public transportation between Newark and New York City to MetLife. Gillette Stadium, not in Boston, Massachusetts, okay? Do not let this be a surprise to you as you're planning your 2026 World Cup travels. You're going to have to take, if this is the mode of transportation that they're going to ask fans to take, over an hour train ride to Foxborough to get yourself to Gillette Stadium. So basically everything in Boston, from the accommodations to all of the tourism and the historic sites, are going to be right here, okay? Cambridge, Harvard, where a lot of the universities are at as well. Here's going to be the airport where you're going to be landing at Boston Logan International Airport. But like I said, the stadium is all the way down here in Foxborough, Massachusetts, not in the heart of Boston itself, okay? So, are there alternatives that you could potentially take in order to get there, or at least stay a little bit closer? Yes, you could go ahead and fly yourself to Providence, Rhode Island. Now, I know that Providence is probably not an international destination for many of you in terms of being able to connect directly to it. So you're probably going to have to still fly to Boston or to New York. But then from there, say, for example, you are flying to New York, you could take the Amtrak up to Providence, stay in Providence because it's technically closer. Let's go ahead and do the fact check live in person. And it is closer, at least by car, 28 minutes away. Of course, if they do provide public transportation to Foxborough from Providence, I will let you know about that. And that could be a potential game changer. And potentially maybe you want to go to Rhode Island instead of Boston for your tourism. That's up to you. All right, BMO Field is in Toronto. You won't have to worry about driving outside of the city for that stadium. It is going to host the inaugural match for Canada soccer, and as well as, I believe, 5 other matches, if I have my math correctly. You can go ahead and get there by flying into Toronto Pearson International Airport, or do what I did with my friends back in 2016 when we decided to drive up from Washington, D.C. through Niagara Falls to the MLS Cup Final 2016 between Toronto FC and the Seattle Sounders. So, yeah, you can do either one of those two options as well. Hotels, of course, are going to be rather plenty in the area. And fortunately for you, this is a Summer World Cup, not a winter one, in which, I had to basically pack all of the clothes and still feel bone chilling cold in that winter weather. All right, I've never been to Kansas City, but from the map, it looks like it's going to be quite the doozy to travel to. Okay, first off, we are starting to fly into Kansas City International Airport. From what I've done in my research about their public transportation, they do not really have a good public transportation system connecting the airport to the city or from the city itself to the stadium itself, which is Gatehub Field at Arrowhead Stadium. But basically, we're going to know it as Kansas City Stadium. Also, a quirk in geography here is that Arrowhead is actually in Kansas City, Missouri, not in Kansas City, Kansas. So make sure you have your addresses correct when it comes to your hotels, because that could make quite the difference between you staying over here on this side of the Kansas Missouri state borderline or on this other side. So just make sure you have all your directions organized. I have been following a lot Kansas City because they're the ones that are really reporting out to the public more about their plans for public transportation and whatnot, and they do have all of these things in mind, and they are looking to improve the number of buses that are going to be going between the downtown area and Arrowhead, as well as from the downtown area to the airport itself. So hopefully those plans do come to fruition, and Kansas City will have ample public transportation, not only during the World Cup, but also after the tournament ends. All right, let me tell you something about Vancouver. Beautiful city, okay? Absolutely gorgeous in the summer. You're going to have a beautiful time there, but it's going to be really expensive, okay? That's because BC Place is in the downtown area, but oh my goodness, the hotel prices when I went there, I believe it was in summer 23, they were expensive. I'm talking like $400, $500 a night, okay? My wife and I had to basically stay in the neighborhood of Surrey over here, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, because that's where the cheaper Marriott hotels were, and then drive in about 30-ish minutes to BC Place. The other cheaper hotels that were in the area or over here this way by the international airport, okay? But yikes, the hotels are going to be expensive, and there's not a lot of them, so much so that they might have to bring in cruise ships. I'm not joking. This is a repeat of the Qatar World Cup. They are looking to bring in cruise ships to accommodate and make up for that hotel room shortfall that they are going to face. Hands down, it's just a little too late right now to make up the difference in the rooms. They do need those cruise ships there, okay? Having said that, though, if they're able to resolve those issues, Stanley Park, beautiful, amazing, okay? Please go there. BC Place right in the middle. If you got the money to drop or the points to drop to stay near the stadium, yeah, how about you go check out the JW Marriott that was right there, right next to it. That's probably going to be where Infantino and the FIFA gang are going to be staying at. You know, and I say that gang in the right way, of course. And then the only other place I really recommend for you, Granville Island. I know kind of a tourist trap place too, but hey, my wife and I had a nice time, and that's all you should be worrying about. All right, Lumen Field in Seattle. It's right in the downtown area, so you won't have to worry about driving out of the city itself. Wonderful place to visit overall in the summer, just like Vancouver. That Pacific Northwest area is going to be hopefully some of the best weather that you're going to see in the entire North American continent. Okay, it's not going to be incredibly hot unless just a random heat wave comes along. But like I said, wonderful place. My wife is from Seattle. We can just tell you that it's a beautiful, beautiful place to go to overall. Highly, highly recommend. You'll be flying into Seattle Tacoma International Airport down here. There is a light rail that connects you to the airport, to the downtown area. Now, just like Vancouver, though, there is a limited number of hotel rooms in that city, just given the geography of it. As you can see, a lot of islands, a lot of just peninsulas and whatnot. So do keep that in mind, okay? I haven't heard about the need to bring in cruise ships to alleviate the shortage of the hotel rooms, just like in Vancouver, but it would not surprise me that that would be the case for Seattle as well. But again, Lumen Field, right in the heart of the city. Levi Stadium, definitely not in San Francisco. It is actually in Santa Clara, California, or, bueno, San Jose, sure. But it's officially listed as Santa Clara. Now, It is about 37 minutes, give it 45, maybe with worse traffic an hour away from San Francisco International Airport. So it does put it at about the same distance as Gillette Stadium is away from Boston, Massachusetts. So you're really looking at here at a situation where yes, you can fly into San Francisco International Airport, say if you're coming from abroad, okay, and that's probably the airport you're going to, but you're going to have to probably rent a car, or again, unless they improve public transportation to connect the airports or even just the airport to Santa Clara, San Jose, then that's what you're going to have to do as well. At least domestically in the United States, or at least from Canada and Mexico, Oakland International Airport will be another option for you, or also San Jose Mineta International Airport, which is probably the best airport to fly into to get close to Levi Stadium. Now, I wasn't able to go to the Colombia-Brazil match that they did have here during Copa America 2024, unfortunately. I did have some partnerships with hotels here that hopefully I'll be able to renew again for 2026. So if you are interested in going to matches in the Bay Area, I would highly, go ahead and suggest you book as close as you can to this region. But again, just pay attention to the geography. It's massive. Just because you're flying into San Francisco does not mean that Levi Stadium is in San Francisco. Now, at the time of this recording, Los Angeles is struggling through some very severe wildfires, which has claimed, unfortunately, the lives of dozens of people and has caused billions of dollars in property damage and has uprooted thousands of families. My heart and prayers go out to all of you who have been impacted by these disasters, which are being caused by climate change. Please, I hope you all are able to recover and rebuild. And for the rest of us, please contact your representatives, demand action on climate change, because we're only going to see more of these disasters unless we take some action and responsibility right now. All right, with that in mind, SoFi Stadium. I have not visited this stadium actually. I've been to LA several times, but it is rather close to Los Angeles International Airport, so that is really going to be nice in terms of transportation. I know that they are in the works of figuring out how they're going to organize the public transportation to shuttle fans from the airport to the stadium and, of course, to the nearby hotels. There are plenty of hotels, probably more on the budget to mid-tier range hotels. If you want some of the more luxury stays, that is going to be closer towards the downtown portion of Los Angeles itself. If you want cheaper prices, maybe towards over here, Torrance and some other parts here. Of course, your tourism opportunities in the SoCal area are a lot. Now, if you wanted to stay a little bit further away from Los Angeles, I mean, you can consider San Diego as an option. You could connect via Amtrak as well. So that does kind of give it a bit of a connection there as well. But overall, SoFi Stadium is going to be rather accessible for fans flying in for those World Cup matches. All right, I have not been to Guadalajara before, so I'm going to depend on all of you in the comments to provide us with some additional tips. But there's where Estadio Akron is at. Okay, so it's definitely a ways from the city center. It's really much outside of this, I guess you can call Beltway. Aeropuerto Internacional Guadalajara is over here, which at least from the TikTok videos I've seen is nicer than Ciudad de Mexico's Benito Juarez, which I have been to. I'll show you where Estadio Azteca is at in a second. But yeah, that's the stadium. I don't really have any much more information about Guadalajara. I hope I can go ahead and visit it in 2025 just to scout it out and be ready for the World Cup. Same situation with Monterrey. I have not visited, fortunately, but it is definitely on my bucket list. Y'all know why. If you know, you know. This stadium, I have to go to a match there at all costs, I would say. So we're going to be flying into Aeropuerto Internacional de Monterrey. And then, pretty much the stadium, I guess, relatively close to the city center, again, by the looks of Google Maps. And I know that the Monterrey City Council and the region of Nuevo León have, at least made press conferences and at least do have plans in place where they do want to integrate a bit better the public transportation between the airport to the stadium and the city center to facilitate the movement of tourists from all of these three major key points. So at least from those projects, we are going to have a bit more mobility for the fans coming in for these matches in Monterrey. Bueno, Estadio Azteca, I've been there before. I've been to Mexico City like 4 times already, I believe. Many of you are either from there or have visited there quite often. So really don't have to mention too much about Mexico City, how to get there per se. But you will be landing at the Aeropuerto Internacional de Ciudad de Mexico, Benito Juarez International Airport. the stadium itself is away from the city center, right? I mean, you do see a lot of the flags I have there. That's a trick, by the way, if you have noticed on my Google Maps, is that I like to indicate places that either I enjoyed eating at, whether that be a restaurant or in this case, a lot of the taqueros, going around, or places that I enjoyed going to museums to, or marking future places that I want to go to. So it's a cool little neat trick that I have in case I do like the city and I do come back to visit again. But yeah, again, Estadio Azteca is going to be well connected public transportation wise. Do expect lots of crowds, of course, going to these matches. So just give yourself ample time to make your way down to Estadio Azteca for your World Cup matches. Okay, Houston is another city I've not been to before. All right. So the two options for airports are either the George Bush Intercontinental Airport, which is up there to the north, or the William Hobby Airport down here in the south. The Hobby Airport is closer to Energy Stadium, but most of you are probably going to be flying in through George Bush International Airport. So just keep that in mind. The stadium is not as close to the downtown area as it appears. So that means you're going to be having probably a lot of your tourism opportunities over here in the downtown area. But then, of course, you're going to be heading out towards Energy Stadium. And again, remember that the ability to use your vehicles to get to the stadium is going to be curtailed because of the security rings that FIFA and the host city stadiums have already talked about, have in place, and that are going to implement during this tournament itself. All right, so let's wrap up our review of the World Cup host stadiums with AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Yes, even though it is technically Dallas as the World Cup host city, the stadium is located in Arlington, Texas. So much so, the city officials in Arlington, at least some of them, have asked the Dallas World Cup host committee to change the name to Arlington Dallas World Cup host committee because the stadium is there. So, apart from that issue, okay, there's a lack of public transportation directly connecting Dallas to AT&T Stadium directly. There's like a shuttle that you would have to take from a metro station about over here. And also, if you were to go to Fort Worth, it's also kind of a hassle to get to AT&T Stadium from the city itself. So the host committee have their work cut out for in order to ensure the connectivity between Dallas and Fort Worth, to the stadium, but also from the airport directly to the stadium itself. But overall, this is where the stadium is at. So please make sure that you are booking your hotel accommodations accordingly to ensure that you are pretty much in the right place. Thank you so much, mi gente, for watching this video. Apologies I couldn't get it any shorter. We do have 16 stadiums to review after all. So, that's why it took up a lot of time. Again, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click on the bell button so that way you are notified as to when I take out a new video. Make sure you share these with all your friends and family as well so that way we are all ready to travel the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Hasta la próxima.